Welcome to TheWrap's Drinking with the Stars here at Aventine Trattoria in Hollywood. I'm Jeff Snyder, and with us is Chris Lowell, co-writer and director of Beside Still Waters. Chris, thanks for coming.
Hey man, cheers.
Likewise, we've known each other for a few years. We had some mutual friends at USC, but I wanted to ask you about Beside Still Waters. Why don't you tell the folks at home what it is about?
Sure. So Beside Still Waters is about this young guy named Daniel Thatcher, whose parents have recently died in a car accident, and no one comes to the funeral. And he's losing the house where he grew up. So in this kind of desperate attempt to cling to his delusions of basically not accepting the situation that he's in, he invites all these people who didn't show up at the funeral back to sort of celebrate his family in their house where they grew up. And as people come back, you start to realize they don't really remember the house as wonderfully as he does. And then over the course of these few days, they sort of start to slip back into their kind of adolescent selves.
Okay. Now, this is your directorial debut, correct?
That's right.
Why did you feel like now was the right time in your career to make the jump behind the camera?
I don't even know if I really felt like I had a choice. It just happened, and I just stayed on the train with it, basically. So I had been writing the screenplay and just sharing it with people just for notes. It wasn't even something I necessarily thought I was ever going to make. And then I was working as an actor on this film called Brightest Star, and the director and the producers wanted it. They're like, we'll give you notes. So I sent it to them, and then a week later, actually 3 years ago to the day yesterday, they said, well, let's make this movie.
This is Jason Potash,
This is
right?
Jason Potash,
okay.
The infamous Jason Potash.
Of course.
And so literally, that beginning of January 2012, we went straight into it, and I was doing the award circuit for The Help, and what I realized very quickly is, at a certain point, if you're wanting to actually make a film, there are so many factors that will keep it from getting made, that my acting career could not be one of those factors. So at a certain point, pretty early on, I just had to say, I'm not going to act. I'm just going to make this movie this year. Mm-hmm. And but it really just sort of, it's rare that you get presented with an opportunity to make a film. And so I just knew that if I was let's see, it was never going to happen.
So you have an 8-person cast in this film. Beck Bennett, who you went to school with, is in it. I'm sure a couple of your other friends. You're not. I mean, can you talk to me about, casting this group and why you decided to stay off camera this time?
Yeah, okay, so really the only person I knew beforehand was Beck.
Okay.
Beck was my roommate freshman year of college. He's awesome. I think the biggest challenge with this movie is we've seen a bunch of friends get together in a house for a weekend reunion so many times that it was how do we make this different? How do we make this, how do we not fall into the same traps? Part of it is because I think Mo and I, my writing partner, avoided trying to make the big chill for the millennial generation, which I think is a noble attempt, and I think but I think when you do that, it's okay, what do 20, 30-year-olds talk about? Facebook or Twitter mishaps or
right.
Online dating, I don't know. And instead, Mo and I decided just to write about what we knew, which was this house that we lived in Georgia, which we lost, and how do we tell that story as specifically and authentically as possible, and then through that, hopefully this more authentic and universal story would come. And so when it came to casting, it was a similar thing. We'd seen all these reunion films, the ones that worked and then all the ones that didn't work. And one of the consistencies with the ones that don't work is they're stacked with these crazy big name celebrities.
Right.
Which I understand the idea behind that. But the problem is when you're making a film about reunions, the whole idea is you have to believe that these people have a shared history. And what always happens is you see all these people on the screen and you're you're not old friends. You're this guy from that movie and you're from this TV show. And so with casting, I really wanted to put together a really strong ensemble of lesser or slightly lesser known actors, which if you ever want to see gray hairs grow on a producer's head in front of you, just tell them that. But yeah, so we had Carrie Barden and Paul Schnee and Allison Estrin who cast me in The Help, and they did August Osage County. They've done a lot of great ensemble work. And then they've also cast epic stars before they broke. They did Winter's Bone, Boys Don't Cry, and all this stuff. So I was I want to meet those actors. And so that's who they brought in. They brought in these freaking badasses. And they all committed to audition and chemistry reads and rehearsals, and we actually went up to the house a week beforehand, and they lived there. and cooked and
I was
drank.
gonna say, did you guys actually party? You know, when you have a cool young cast like that.
I gotta say, we partied pretty hard. We partied pretty hard, if I'm gonna be honest. But like, but it was great because what happened was, everyone, like I said, they drank and they played whiskey slaps and they went skinny dipping, and then by the time we started shooting, they had like so much history already that it just made their chemistry on camera just
It felt
erupt.
really authentic and everything. Now, wait, before I let you go, tell us where can people find Besides Still Waters?
Besides Still Waters, it's out now. You can see it in theaters and you can see it on iTunes and on demand. So go check it out. It is my pride and joy.